Alright everyone, welcome back for part 2. So what I'm going to be doing now is just going through and adding the detail, basically like the scratches and other little bits and pieces like that to here, because overall what we did before was just shape in all the damage. We misted the gray underneath, which I'm sorry I didn't have a video for that. I kind of didn't get the idea to make videos until after I did that. We're gonna go through and add scratches and stuff. So what I normally do is I'll have my phone here with a reference image on it. Now this is how the helmet appears today, or maybe not today, it's probably got more damage now, but a little while ago. And so we're not gonna put all of this damage, because I'm sure all of this wasn't here when the helmet was initially painted. We have these stencils here by Boba Fett. You can find those on the dented helmet. I usually have a folder that just has a bunch of reference images that I can look at while I paint. So I'll just go, we'll go to I'll go to this area in the stencil, which would be the back right panel. And I'll just look at all these little scratches I need to add. And just to make sure, I'll go back to my reference image and I'll just make sure that or those scratches are where they should be. And I'll even look at these sometimes while I paint, but like I said, this is a lot later after the helmet was painted, so I'm not sure what all scratches should be there and which ones shouldn't, So I'll go ahead and start doing that. What I'm going to do for this, let me find the tool real quick. Here it is. I have a metal scribing tool. This is normally what I use to scrape my little fine scratches in. Now I'm probably going to have to go back and maybe paint some silver in with a brush. But overall there shouldn't be too much to do. I think it's just mainly stuff at the bottom and down here at the rim. But for the scratches we're going to be using this. You could use an X-Acto knife too if you don't have one of these, but these metal scribing tools are like $8, so I'd recommend getting one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do a time lapse, I suppose, and get these scratches added in. Some spots I'm gonna have to go back in and fix, so we're gonna use this Flow Quill bright silver, and we're just gonna go in with a fine brush. I hate going back in and fixing stuff topically, like especially if I have to go in and like add gray. That's why I really take my time to make sure I mask out the damage correctly. But silver's no problem because it's not on this main green. Like if I have to add silver over this green, it's gonna look kind of weird, like it's just gonna stick out from the rest. So we're just gonna like do really minimal topical work here. And I'll show you. I have a little area here that I forgot to mask off with the silver. part under the main huge silver scratch. So I'm gonna go in and add that real quick. So for now, it'll be kind of noticeable that I had to go back in topically, but once I go through at the end and weather, it's going to be pretty hard to tell. That's what we're working with. Sorry the lighting's kind of shitty, but right now I need to go back in with some, I'm pretty sure this is actually white. On the stencil it shows silver down here, but when I look at the actual helmet, I'm pretty sure, let's see, it's definitely white down there. That's the base of the helmet, so it looks like all of the silver and everything just been pulled and scratched off there for whatever reason. Same with like the edges around the keyholes or whatever. So gonna go back in with some white. Gonna kind of water it down slightly, that way it's not as paint heavy and it won't like show that it's topical like super heavily. So I'm gonna get that paint real quick and I'll get it back. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I put like a slight amount of water in a cup, just a tiny bit, and we're going to take some white. I'm just going to use this Vallejo Model Air white and put some in this cup. I'm just going to get enough to like get the brush wet. Brush doesn't really matter, you just want a fine tip brush. Like I usually use disposable ones from Hobby Lobby, I don't use anything crazy, believe it or not. I'm going to water it down just a little because if you don't, the topical will be pretty obvious. So I'm going to grab my stencil here, the picture I mean. Like I said, I'm not going to want to follow this picture because this isn't the version of the helmet I'm painting. This has more paint missing than what I'm doing right now, so and follow this. And from what we could see in the picture, we know the edges should be white. More paint's been rubbed off, so I'm just gonna go through and mix some of this white with the paint's missing. So we pretty much got all the white added. And like I said, that's just to represent the under like primer layer. Maybe the helmet itself is white. I believe the helmets themselves were white. So that white that we're seeing in these pictures, that's probably actually, wow, it's lighting. There we go. that white you see at the very bottom of the helmet, that's probably actually the very base helmet, because I'm sure a lot of the paint's been scratched off. The helmet's so old. So it's probably not even a primer layer, honestly. That's what I'm saying. I need to start just making the helmet white. And go ahead and masking that off. So I really don't like doing topical if I don't have to. Overall, though, I think we've gotten most of it. I believe. There's really not a whole lot to it. Like the ROTJ and what I've seen so far of this helmet, the back layers are pretty easy. I'm sure the dome will be too, because the Empire Strikes Back helmet has a lot of layering, and this is basically just, you know, you miss the silver and then you put on the green. There's really not a whole lot to it. There's probably a little bit I have to go back in and fix, which I probably will, like off camera. I'll just go back and look. But overall, that's how you're gonna want to handle your back panels. Just really take time to make sure you got all the details. Alright everyone, that was part 2. The next part, we're going to be making the stencils for our dome and for our cheeks. And I'll be showing you how I do that. So I'm sure some of you will be excited for that. Alright everyone, thanks for watching.